Although a traditional row garden requires hours of tilling, fertilizing, weeding, and watering, a square foot garden requires minimal time. I often spend about 5 to 10 minutes each morning tending to my garden, although more if I'm replanting or harvesting. I'm Dr. Denise DeBusk, and in this video, I'll guide you on how to maintain your square foot garden, including watering, fertilizing, weeding, and protecting them from cold. When it comes to tools, all you really need are a hand trowel, a pencil, and a pair of scissors or small pruner. I use a kitchen knife instead of a pruner to cut large stems like broccoli and cabbage. A foam kneeling pad and a pair of garden gloves are also useful. I have a bench that reverses for kneeling or sitting. The trowel is for transplanting, mixing in compost when you replant, and loosening up and turning over meals mix in an individual square or the entire grid. The pencil is for poking holes and lifting out young seedlings to transplant. The pair of scissors is for harvesting beet, lettuce, or Swiss chard leaves for supper, cutting off dead blossoms, and snipping off extra seedlings if more than one seed sprouts in a hole. A square foot garden has few or no weeds. This is because vermiculite and peat moss contain no seeds, and if the compost is made correctly, temperatures of 150 degrees or higher, kills all the weed seeds in the material. By laying landscape fabric at the bottom of the garden box, no weeds sprout up through the bottom. A few weed seeds will arrive in your square foot garden on the wind or dropped off by birds, but these are very easy to remove since the soil is so loose. How can you tell if it is a weed and not a vegetable seedling? Is it where you planted it since you did a grid? If not, then it is a weed. If you use meals mix, you do not need to fertilize your soil. Some gardeners insist that some high feeding plants need extra nutrients. In that case, you could use a diluted organic liquid fertilizer. Due to the presence of peat moss in the growing medium, the soil is on the acidic side. Some plants thrive in more alkaline pH soils, including cabbage, cauliflower, celery, cucumber, okra, peppers, and sweet potatoes. In these cases, you may want to add a small amount of garden lime into the grid squares where these vegetables are growing to increase the pH. If you don't have meals mix, you will need to fertilize regularly. For my local soil, I use both granular fertilizer and liquid fertilizer. Some of the organic fertilizers that I use are Dr. Earth Premium Gold and Fox Farm Grow Big Liquid Plant Food. Dr. Earth should be mixed into the soil before planting, or it can be side dressed, meaning placed around the plant, and gently mixed in and then watered. You will notice that I got some on the leaves. Before watering, I shook off the fertilizer. You don't want to have fertilizer sitting on the leaves. Some fertilizers are high in salts and can burn the leaves. Some fertilizers break down over time, like Dr. Earth, which says to apply every 2 months. Fox Farm Liquid Plant Food is diluted and applied every other day. Other products, such as Miracle Grow, are diluted and applied weekly. Whatever fertilizer you purchase, follow the label on the back for how much to use and how often. When you first add meals mix to your box, it may settle a bit, so you'll want to add a bit to level up the soil to just below the grid lines. As you harvest your plants, you will want to add some fresh compost to replenish the nutrients that the plant consumes. Mix it in well, then replant seeds or transplants. Do the same thing at the beginning of the next planting season. Will meals mix last forever? No. Eventually, the peat moss will break down as well, and you will need to refill it with meals mix, although that may take 10 years. I'm going on 5 years with my batch of meals mix in my demo garden. Although meals mix is costly to start, it will save you a bundle in fertilizers. In most parts of the country, mulching isn't necessary. Mulching is typically done to minimize weeds and keep the soil moist, which isn't typically an issue with meals mix. In warmer regions, it is difficult to keep the soil cool and moist under the harsh sun, so laying down mulch is helpful. You can use cocoa beans, shredded wood, and bark chips to make it attractive. I've used hay before, especially to protect my strawberries from rotting as they touch the surface. In a desert climate, you want to lay a thick layer of mulch such as newspapers or cardboard, chopped up straw, or even dried up grass clippings. Keep in mind that mulches may pull nitrogen out of your garden as they decompose, so you may want to put a barrier underneath them. Wind can also be a concern in some desert areas, so you can make a windscreen around your garden by wrapping the floating covered type of cloth around steel fence posts outside each corner of the bed. One of the biggest advantages of square foot gardening is that the condensed size and the nature of Mel's mix means much less watering and effort required. Mel Bartholomew taught that the best method is to leave a bucket of water to warm in the sun and water each plant with a single cupful of water from the bucket. You would apply it to the root zone below the plant. Some people argue that this takes too long, but since the garden is a fraction of the size, you place it right where it needs to be, and Mel's mix absorbs and retains water, you use less water in the right conditions. When you water with warm water, the plant absorbs nutrients from the soil more effectively, and seeds and transplants grow faster with warm soil temperatures. Many new gardeners overwater their plants. Although this is a problem with row gardens or container gardens, since too much water can drown the roots, Mel's mix drains excess water away quickly. Because of this, Mel's mix does dry out more quickly than other types of soil. The best way to water is to give the plants a drink when they need it. Look for signs that your plants need water, such as slight wilting, droopy branches, or an off color. By waiting to give water, the plants form an extensive root system as they search for water, making them stronger. You can also use a small moisture meter to see if there is enough moisture. I have an example on the slide. It is blue when there is moisture and white when moisture is lacking. Keep in mind that different plants need different amounts of water through the growing season. As a seedling, a plant doesn't require a large amount of water, but as it grows, and especially when they fruit, they need much larger amounts of water. During the heat, I'm often watering some plants twice per day. You can always use a garden hose to water plants. Make sure that the water is not scalding hot, since that is bad for the plants. Wait for it to get lukewarm. Although it's tempting to water everything, provide water to only the plants that are asking for a drink. You can use an extension wand, either long or short, equipped with a spray nozzle at the end. Mine has different settings. You also want a shut-off valve on it so that you can control the force and amount of water. Direct the water at the root zone rather than the leaves. If you water the leaves, it increases the incidence of plant diseases, since fungi and bacteria require water to spread and infect the plant. While the most efficient watering method is to individually water the plants when they need it, another efficient method is to install a drip irrigation system. It uses a series of small plastic tubes that runs along the soil beneath the leaves of the plants and delivers small amounts of water right where you need it. There are different kits you can buy, also called micro watering kits. All of them include a 1/4 inch plastic or vinyl tubing, small drip emitter heads, and stakes to hold the tubing and drip heads in place. You would install a backflow preventer and then a pressure regulator at the end of the hose. You can add an automatic timer to turn on the irrigation at certain times of the day. On the slide is the setup I have at home. The kits will come with a 1/2 inch tubing as well. That is used to run the water along the side of the box where you will feed the 1/4 inch spaghetti tubes running down the length of the box. You can see the setup for this in the bottom photo. You will run one spaghetti tube down the center of each 1 foot section. Depending on the kit, you will need to punch holes and place an emitter for each foot. Some kits have holes in the tubing and don't require the emitters. When it comes to how long to leave the irrigation system on, that would take monitoring the moisture level. You can do this by putting your finger into the soil a couple inches or using a moisture meter. If you have a 4x4 square foot box, you can create a simple but functional dome with 1/2 inch PVC pipe that is arched from corner to corner of your square foot box and secured in the center. You would use 2 10-foot pieces, insert the ends deep into the ground, and bend the pipes so that they form a tent-like frame over the box. Secure the intersection with a zip tie. You can cover the dome with clear plastic in the early spring to retain heat from the sun, like your own greenhouse. In the late spring, you can cover it with cheesecloth to keep out egg-laying insects. In the summer, you can place shade cloth over to provide shade for young tender plants. In the fall, you can place frost cloth over to protect late crops. It is truly a multi-purpose frame. Instead of a dome, you can also do hoops or a covered wagon support. This also uses 10-foot long PVC pipes, but these can be cut down to 6 or 8 feet if it is too tall. You place the pipes along the opposite sides of the box, arching the ends into the ground. Then use a 4-foot long strut pipe to run between the arches. Drill holes at the ends of the 4-foot PVC pipe and the middle of the arched pipes and secure them with zip ties. This can be easily done for other sizes as well. I purchased a frost cloth protection kit with hoops during an unexpected freeze, and I was sorely disappointed in the quality. So I'll be moving to the PVC pipe for a more permanent solution. Some key points when it comes to using the material to drape over: you can weigh it down so it doesn't blow away. If it is for insect control, it is so insects don't crawl under it easily. You also need to take it off or lift it up to water. So what are your next steps? This section discusses a variety of maintenance tasks. If you have meals mix, you don't need to fertilize, but you may want to have garden lime or liquid fertilizer on hand. If you aren't using meals mix, then you definitely want to purchase some fertilizer. You need to decide how to water the plants. You can always start by hand watering and add an irrigation system later. You may want to think about building a dome or covered wagon support to protect your plants more in different seasons. Hopefully you got some useful tips on how to maintain your plants and be successful in caring for them.